Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the radio shop and another segment of mail time. And as you can see, we've got them stacked about head high here. So I think this is going to be a very special and exciting mail time. So stick with me and we'll go through and see what we have here. So we got another package here from our good friend Chuck over in Michigan. Chuck is also a ham operator. And I have a TS50 that I'm working on for him that's had some problems. I've showed it to you in some of the other videos, but there's no power out. Found out that some of the capacitors on the board has leaked. Just give this thing an open up and see what Chuck has got sent in. I already know what it is because we emailed back and forth. Alright, I got packing peanuts, so I got to get rid of them. So I'm going to ask before I even take the wrapper off, does anybody know what piece of equipment it comes green? And what we have here is a beautiful Heathkit. This is the HR1680. This radio covers the 10 through 80 meters and did not have any DeWalt bands or anything in it at the time of production. But it's a single sideband CW receiver. And just by looking at it, it looks in top shape. I got the 1680 powered up, and we should really hear some pretty decent singles coming from this thing. This radio does have a dual converter super. This radio does have a dual conversion super hit receiver, so it should sound pretty good. Now, like I said, there's no AM in here, so you can't really listen to AM all that good because you just don't have the filtering set for AM. What filtering in it's for single sideband and CW. We'll turn the volume up. We have a pre-select also that tunes the front end. And it's a net on 20 meters. And see, the analog dial does not have but just a few numbers on it. So we're on about 20 meter band. It'll be 14, 310. Not a whole lot on the bands this afternoon. That's how it is. I usually get home, the bands are getting dead. Some foreign station coming in. Put it over on calibrate. We'll hold the stop button. The zero beat that right out. That way we're right on, exactly on 14.300. We'll switch over to 40 meter band. CW. Unit seems to work fairly well. I see no problems with it. This unit here, when it originally sold, was about 300. It seemed like they used to run somewhere between about 390 to 290 to 319, somewhere in that price range when they were new. And they were introduced in 1977 and were sold to about mid 1982, somewhere in there. We'll go ahead and just pop the top off of it and take a look inside. There's one thing that I'm curious to know, if this is the older or the newer version, and the way that you'll tell right off the bat when we take the top off. We'll look right behind this pre-selector, and if it's the older version, that'll be one wire. If it's the newer version, that'll be two wires. Alright, have the screws out so we can go ahead and lift the top off. And we can take a look inside. So if we go ahead and look, we can see this is our power supply circuit. It has a built-in power supply, or it could also run on 13.8 volts. There's a connector in the back of it. We can see our VFO board here, our VFO tuning can. The front end is all point-to-point wiring. Now, you know, I mentioned something about the two wires going to the pre-selector, or the one wire. This is the two wire. So this is the newer version that Heathkit introduced. The older version won't quite as stable on the pre-select as what the newer version is. So this, like I say, this is the newer version. The board here on the front contains our receiver front end. The second board here is our oscillator and our crystal calibrator. And then here on the back we have our audio circuit and regulator circuit for the power supply that regulates the voltages of some of the circuits. These boards are removable. Back in the day when these were built, they came with a set of cord extenders that plugged in and you could raise the board up. You know, it seems like when people sell these things off, they keep the manuals, they keep the extender boards, or the stuff gets lost over time. But it looks in real good shape. Everything looks original. It has all the original trimmers up here on the front end board. A lot of times you'll see these are broken off or missing. This one has all the originals, which makes it very nice. Let's say you can remove the two screws, pull board, remove the two wires, pull board A right out and work on it, and plug it right back in. Makes it very, very serviceable. One thing I will let you know, if you have one of these, you have to watch your placement of these two wires going to the pre-selector. You have to get them just right for it to work, because they can interfere with each other. So you have to put them in and just kind of line them up to make sure everything is in there like it's supposed to be. We're looking at the rear of the unit, and we see we got RCA jacks here. You know, speaker, side tone, a spire, a mute, and this is our antenna connector. We also have our 13.8 connector. If you look over here at the tag on it, first thing you see, this kit, wired for 127 volts. So this, you know, was sold as a kit. And we can see our model number now. Heathkit signatures, HR1680. And this is serial number 01634. So even though it's the newer updated version, it's still an older serial number. Number 1634. Here's just a look at the point-to-point wiring behind the front panel. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of stuff in there to worry about. We can see that we do need to go ahead and do a little cleaning. We can see our metal on our selector switch is turned black, so that'll be an easy cleanup. be much problems at all of going through this thing and making sure it's completely up to par. Few electrolytics, not a whole lot. There's some wiring, mostly point-to-point wiring under the bottom. I think the biggest electrolytic we have to worry about is the huge one down here in the power supply. There's a few in the audio board, and I think there's one on the front board here. Yes, there's one down at the bottom on the front board. There's none on the center board on board C. And we also have none down here on the VFO to worry about. So, handful of capacitors and a little cleaning, and this thing will be on top shelf. I think it's just amazing, is, you know, the age of this radio, how well it looks. Very few nicks on it. The front end is just, you know, I mean, it's almost perfect. It just, like I said, it just needs a little bit of cleaning, but it really looks good. If you look at the paint on it, the paint is just really been taken care of, and this is the original paint. It's not been painted. It does have a few little nicks and mars on it, but you know, look how old it is. It's been here a long time, probably a lot longer than some of the viewers here just looking at this. So great radio. That's all I can really say. Chuck, really appreciate it, man. It's everything you said it was. Thank you very much, sir. We'll have some fun sitting down. I might just take this in the house and plug it in and sit back down in the computer room and put it on my desk so I can listen to some HF while I'm working in there. See, we have a big package here from our friend Joe all the way in California. Let's get this opened up, see what Joe has sent in. Just about everything sent in today, I already knew what was coming. But still, it's exciting to see what's in there, even though you already know about it. Where we're at. Newspapers, and a lot of times I'll sit down and read through these papers to see what's going on in other places. Packing material. We have a manual for model 315 single generator. Ah, nice. These are paste desoldering tips. All various sizes, looks like. Yes. Now those will really come in handy to go with our new desoldering machine that Mike sent in. We have some red and black banana jacks. You know, I always run low on these. Oh, this is cool. I don't think I have but one or two of these in the drawer over there. These are BNC to RCA plugs, adapters. That'll come in handy for test equipment. Okay, we got an Eico box here. with the leather label. This is an Eico 488. That's not assembled. You kidding me? Has the chassis with the two sockets already mounted. As you can see, they have never been soldered on. Some connectors and some wiring. This looks like a complete unassembled kit. Oh my. Do you know the last time I seen an unassembled Eico kit? That has been a while ago. We're going to hold this for later on and go through this. In fact, this might just be a separate video all by itself. Thank you very much, Joe. That is just unbelievable. You never know what's going to come in the mail. B&K 277, no probe. A video on making a 277 or 290 probe would be a hit. This instrument is so misunderstood. The most misused. Thanks, buddy. Joe, blessings. Well, Joe, you're just in luck because I have made several probes. In fact, I've got some already made. But we can definitely make a video showing how to make the probes. That would be no problem whatsoever. Definitely like Christmas again. I mean, it's, you know, just look at the care and packaging stuff. You don't see people do that. Put something over the faceplate so it don't get messed up. And this is a B&K 277 electronic multimeter. Now I have the 177s, which was vacuum tube, and this came out after the 177, and this is a solid state multimeter. Looks to be in real good shape, but we know we got to have probes for it, so we'll have to sit down and make a set of those. Start getting rid of paper. It may be best if I just go ahead and set the box on the floor and pull everything out individually. Okay, and on the box it says Eico 150 with a broken frame. That's some tough tape there. Okay, that's part of the bezel, I think. Eico 150 rebuild parts. He even supplied the capacitors. I remember someone else done that. I think it was Mike. Yeah, I knew it was mic'd. And some Eico 150 parts, some knobs and some screws. We have the schematic diagram. So that's the manual for it. And I always love old manuals. When you look at them, you see what people have been working on it and writes on them. Great. So what we have here is the Eico model 150. It's a solid state single tracer. Remember, Mike sent in the Eico 2 single tracer, and this is, I almost say this is like a sister of it, but this is all solid state. And we can see here what he was talking about with the bezel being broken and off. Little being here at the top. And this stuff is made out of a pot metal, so it's real easy to break. So probably what I'll do is go ahead and remove it and see if we can't use some type of either some liquid repair and try to put it back together. And once we get it back together, maybe we can make a new one out of plastic. I have to get out there on the milling machine and have a go at that. But we also need to make some probes for it too. Okay, we got another box here that says Eico 315 parts. And when he said parts, there is a lot of parts there. We got the coils, the switches, wafer switches, terminal strips. Looks like just about all the components out of one. Knob and a dial. Got some ceramic variable capacitors. That is the main coil and the can. There's a couple of chicken head knobs. There's one here. Two more floating around here in the box. It's always nice to have spare parts for a vintage piece of equipment. And also the main variable capacitor. Appears to be in very good shape. I'm going to put this stuff right back in the box so I can keep up with it. And one more box. I don't think I'll ever run out of boxing and packing material. Put this back in the box. We don't want to lose none of that. Anybody want to look at the back of that and tell me what it is? I'll go ahead and show you. What we got here is a liter 1300S function generator. Solid state function generator. 50 ohm load. Knob turns real good and free. Frequency range for knobs work. Well, I tell you what, even have, you know, attenuation, 10, 20, and 40 dB attenuation on the generator output, amplitude level, sweep, amplitude modulation. Oh, that is a whole lot more than what my old generator does. I have had the old Heathkit with IG 1271. This is a big step up over that one. So we'll have to get all this hooked up and go through it and test it out, and maybe do some videos on you know, the check out of each one of them. A lot of what to do with them. Just doing a little quick check, and it seems to be working. No problem. Vary the frequency. Have a sine wave, have a sawtooth wave, and a square wave. I think some of the buttons will need a little cleaning, but other than that, it looks to be in pretty good shape. I like it very much. Now when Joe sent this, he sent me a email. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday I got it. He told me he was sending some stuff, and I saw it listed Eico switch, and it didn't dawn on me that he was sending an Eico switch. I was thinking just a switch in a box, you know, some type of switch, but yeah, this is a switch. It's an electronic switch, and what it's used for, if you're using something like an old oscilloscope, like say like the Eico 460, this piece of equipment fixes it so you can see two waveforms on a single channel scope. That's about the best way to put it, and that's exactly what it does. And to be an unbuilt kit, that just blows my mind, because these things was made in what, the 60s or so. Transformer there. The choke. Handle. Power cable. All the hardwire, the tubes, the old capacitors, pilot light. Move the camera so y'all can get a better view of this. Wow. Has two 20s at 450 and two 10s at 350. Doesn't give a brand name on it, but there's a NOS 4-cavity can capacitor. There's our pilot light with the jewel in it. all the tubes. The old mica molded capacitors. There's a 0.005 400 volt paper capacitor. Another one. How much y'all bet these are still probably good? Wafer switches. All the controls. All knobs. These are still sealed. I'm not even going to open them yet. I know what it is. It's all the nuts and bolts and hardware and stuff. And the last part in the box is a beautiful, unscratched, perfect case. Alright guys, what do you do? How often do you find a unbuilt Eico kit? Decisions. To build it or to leave it in its unbuilt state. Decisions. It would make a great video of building it. But it'll also be one nice collector piece unbuilt. Oh, I hate decisions. Anyway, Joe, much appreciated. Some very fine equipment you sent. I'll have a real good time going through all this and repairing it and making probes and getting it all up and running, because every bit of this will go on the one of the new benches, probably with the other Eico stuff that's up there on my vintage test bench. So thank you very much. That's some great stuff. Much appreciated. And I have another package here. This came from Dino. So let's see what Dino has sent in. Got a little book here. Now this is the only thing I didn't know what it was going to be. So we have a note. And I'm not going to read this right now because I have one more special mail item to share with you guys. So we'll go ahead and look at this. And this is the applications note. And it's for the IFR FM AM 1500 communication service monitor. Well, you know, I have the 1200, and basically tells you how to set up your IFR for different things. And you know, even though it's two different service monitors, the basic functions are the same. It's just that the 1500 is highly menu driven, while the 1200 series is not. But it, you know, the controls are so identical. Even tells you how to make the sniffer circuit. Real simple to do. Lots of good information in this. And that makes you wonder why Dino would send this in, doesn't it? Well, we'll get into that in just a minute. But yeah, very good, handy bit of documentation here, Dino. Measuring transmitter harmonics. Real nice. Thank you very much. This will come in real handy, as you will soon see. So we'll go right ahead and get into the first package here that was sent in by mail. And we'll take a look at it and see what we have in here. I think y'all gonna like this. Paper. We have a manual. Alright, I'll go ahead and get all this cleaned up. And this is what's inside the big box. Now those of you that know your test equipment already know exactly what this is, or somewhere about. As you can see, there's my older unit sitting there. And here is a new unit. We have a tilting bell on the front. I'll go ahead and unlock this, open this around. And as you can see, what we have is the IFR 1200 Super S. Now, you know, mine is just a IFR 1200. And we'll get into a little bit of the history of that in a moment, because some of the history on the internet on the IFRs is not correct. Now the top of these just simply slide right off. We can get in here and see what we have in here with it. We have a antenna. And that just attaches right to the top. Antenna port. Our power cord. And we also have a amplifier. This plugs right into the front of the IF4 on your TR connector, and it amplifies the signal coming out of the IFR. We have the microphone. And you know, I'm pretty sure that these microphones were made by Regency years ago, because I happen to have some Regencies, and they are the same mics, same connector, same wiring diagram. See, we have another antenna here with a T. This set of cables is put in pretty tight. I'll have to dig them out. Let's just go ahead and open this up, see what we got. We have a bag of different connectors. Looks like PL259 to BNC to SO239s, couple of T's, right angles, and various different ones in there. And there's a couple of cables that was in there that were hard to get out of there. They're so very stiff. This is from Time's microwave system is the cable. We have a PL259 on one end, an in connector with an adapter on the other. And then we have an SO239 to a BNC on this end. So this will be a great new item for the bench, especially since my 1200 has gone kaput again. And you know, we've had a lot of problems with it over the years, but the 1200 was one of the first units that came out under this, you know, under the 1200 series. Now I said before there was some difference in the history that's on the internet that is wrong. So you can say mine says IFR FM/AM-1200. There's nothing behind that. According to the history on the internet, the plain 1200 did not have spectrum analyzer and could not be put in it. Well, mine does have spectrum analyzer. Most of them that has a spectrum analyzer has a S on the end of the 1200. But as you can see, the spectrum analyzer is out. Although when I go to scope, in the generate mode, we can see that we do have a scope on the screen. But when we go back to spectrum analyzer, there's nothing there. I'll go back to generate, raise the vertical as high as it can. I can only see a light flash in there. So you know, last time the problem was in the controls, but I'm not sure where the problem is this time. I will tell you that the 1200 does have the blue boards in them instead of the phenolic type of boards or the F4G. But I'm going to have to tear this completely apart, go through it, and rebuild her. You know, go ahead and recap the power supply, check all the resistors, check cabling connections and stuff. So right now we have a problem with our spectrum analyzer. We already know that our cyanide no longer works. We get no reading from here to the meter or the display. And our terminator that's in our TR connection is been out, and that one little piece is over $200, but I'll have to go ahead and order that. But now that we have the 1200 Super, that should take care of that problem. Now one good thing about this is this particular one has the tracking generator already installed, and I believe the Super, it was more of a software mod than it was a lot of hardware. As long as the cabling and stuff is in there, all it needed was software that's already installed. It also has the LTR, which is the Johnson trunking system already in it, so that's in there. Go back to RF and we hit section function. We'll come here to track, and we can see that we're set on duplex low. You can change it to duplex high or duplex. So one thing that we do already know about this IFR 1200 Super S is that it already has some of the options installed. In fact, I think it's got everything but cellular. stuff in it which isn't needed. We go to second function, we'll hit trunking, and we can see that we have our E.F. Johnson trunking option is installed, and we can go through and look at this, and you can actually almost set this up as a 800 megahertz LTR trunking system for testing mobiles. We also have the built-in tracking generator, so we can go tracking low, high, and medium by going through the menus. But the 1200S is basically a complete shop in the box. The only thing it doesn't have is a soldering iron. So, yeah, very nice unit. So I grabbed the old radio that was sent in some time back. It's an old Midland model 13-5 TNA. I'm going to just do a few tests, see how the IFR performs. And I noticed that my IFR has started back to work, and you can see the frequency come up on it. I'm going to set it also to 146.5800. One of the simplex frequencies. And we'll take the other Super S and we'll set it also 46.58. Now that's one thing I liked about the IFRs over some of the other service model is the direct entry keypad. Really makes a difference. Turn off that big overhead light so it doesn't wash the screen out so bad. We'll set our monitor on FM and we'll put it on power. Key up the radio. We can see our spectrum come over. According to this meter, it's about 2.5 watts output, and our frequency error is about 1 hertz. So this old radio was pretty close on. We'll come up here and we'll check deviation on FM just by talking on it. Test 1 2, test 1 2, and we're getting about a peak of about 5.5 to 6 on our FM deviation. Next thing we'll do is come over to generate. And we're at 1 microvolt. It's about 0.2 microvolts right there, which is about a minus 120 dBm plus. You still hear the tone very good in the radio. About 0.1 microvolt, I can hear it. About 0.1, 0.5, I can hear it pretty good. But at 0.2 microvolts, at 120 minus 120 dBm, the radio receives very good. Now there's another feature in the IFR that I like. If you got a radio, like a business band radio or something, and you want to see what the CTCSS tone is, it's very easy to do. As you can see on top of our Midland radio, we have a tone encoder, and this was made by communication specialist. It's the TE-32. I'm going to move it up so we'll get a selection between 67 to 114.8 hertz. I'll rotate it down to 100. Yeah, we have a tone of 100. We'll go back to our IFR, and simply by coming here and selecting second function, CTCSS, we'll key the mic. You see the spectrum come up showing the frequency, and now it's telling us what our tone is. It's 100.0. So our little CS tone module is working pretty good. It's dropped down to about 99.9. Now back up to 100. And on the deviation meter, we're on the 0 to 6 scale. It's a little over 1 kilohertz, which is pretty accurate. Well, it's still unbelievable, but the older IFR, the spectrum is still working. You see on key to mic, we see our spike come up, and you can see it's a lot different than the other one, even when I turn it out. But you can tell that we do have a problem in here, because you can see how the width at the bottom there, you see it drop down. And when you look at the other IFR, you can see how pronounced it is from the floor up. So yeah, there's still a problem in that, even though it's working right this minute. That lets you know that something is going up. If I turn the vertical halfway, it shoots way up. Turn it all the way to the left to bring it back down. I don't know, maybe the old girl is jealous with this new shiny Super S sitting up here beside it. It's decided to go back to work now. Well, anyway, now that we have the Super S, I can go ahead and tear that 1200 apart and go ahead and give it a good rebuild. It's been a good monitor, and it's done everything I ever wanted it to do. I would have went ahead and tore it down earlier, but still, you know, there's a lot of functions on it that was useful, like it was. I do have the HP 8640 sitting up there. That works like a charm. I need to do a little work to the AM deviation and FM deviation controls. Little noise in there, some dirty parts need to be cleaned up. But this Super S is just an amazing piece of equipment. I want to show you this on top. We have a calibration sticker here, and it says 6/11/15 due on, I think it says 7/20/16, and that was calibrated by Kurt over at KG Electronics. Now, one good thing that the Super S can do that my 1200 cannot is, y'all remember these coffee can duplexers? Well, this is something that we can do with the 1200 Super S that I ain't able to do correctly with the regular 1200. We go in here, we hit RF, make sure we're on frequency. Now we go to second function, track. We got our tracking gen on low. We'll come up here and we'll go to duplex. And you can see that we got our waveform up there. Now I got to do a lot of reading up on this thing because I have never used a 1200 Super S to tune duplexers with. But as you can see, I can fine tune the capacitor and move it on the duplexer. We're on 444.8. You can see I can move our notch. Very touchy. And I can set a notch right on the center. And if you remember, this is the I made 40-foot cans. This is the one with the slide rod. The one with the threaded rod will be a whole lot easier to tune. But we can get the general purpose. I just got to do some reading up to figure out how to get this thing set correctly. Though we're on low, we went to second function, track. Let's go up to medium. We'll hit enter. Now see it goes completely off the scale. We'll go back to low. So yeah, I got to sit down and read up on this and figure out how to use the 1200 Super S, because it has been many years since I've had my hands on one of these. So you can see just by playing with it just a little bit more, we got more of a defined notch, but we still got a lot of studying up and learning how to use this thing correctly. Well, you know, it's kind of strange how this came about, getting this 1200S. Mel, he's the one that owns the Sony equipment that we're working on, and we've been emailing back and forth, and the question come up, you know, about test equipment, and he asked me a list of test equipment I was looking for, and it was mostly something in the service monitor range, you know, because we always need several service monitors here in the shop. Single generators are fine, but sometimes, you know, a service monitor is just a whole lot more handy, being an all, you know, self-contained unit. But anyway, he asked me what type I was looking for, so I had gave him a list of several, and beside them I had little comments on them, either saying, you know, old unit works, you know, would get the job done, blah blah blah, whatever. And I had put on there IFR 1200 Super S, and I had parentheses on it that said still way too expensive, because these things are very high dollar. And this particular unit, I have seen it on QRZ, and the owner had put it on QRZ and tried to sell it, and I guess he didn't get no bites on it, so he moved it over to eBay. Well, the next Sunday morning, I have gotten an email from Mel that told me to actually take a look at this, that it was be on the way to my house, and I like to fill out. I guess he wanted me to have some real decent equipment to work on his equipment with. So, you know, that was very kind of Mel to step up and do something like that. It's just unbelievable. You know, I don't know how to thank you more than, you know, anything I could imagine, but yeah, this is a great piece of equipment. I like the IFRs, you know. I'm more familiar with the older 1200 S's and the 500s. That's what we used in E.F. Johnson when I worked there, and over at when I worked for GE, we used WaveTech. Most of our service equipment in there was made by WaveTech, and it was okay, but it just didn't work as good as the IFR. My first service monitor I got was a ComServe Laboratories, and it worked great for what it was. Didn't have a spectrum or tracking or anything in it. It did have a built-in scope, but it was all around decent service monitor. The thing was, it's just no literature was out there on it. I got a video from right a while ago on it. But anyway, this Super S is just awesome. It'll do everything I need in a service monitor. I've already checked too, and the sign in function works perfect. Everything on this here works, no problems at all. It will really be a great help at working on some of this vintage equipment. And I've compared the standards on it with WWV, and you know, beads against it, and she's right dead on. It's just accurate. In fact, they even beat it against the old 1200, and believe it or not, the old 1200, it hasn't been calibrated since about mid-90, but she is still rock solid on frequency. 10 megahertz oscillator standing right there. Unbelievably great piece of equipment. Like I say, several different models, and now, you know, AFR is now owned by Aeroflex, and I've never used the Aeroflex equipment, but the Super S is just outstanding. Great piece of equipment. You know, they made the 1500 also, and it has a lot more menu driven features in it, but it's still hard to beat the Super S. Just a great all around piece of equipment. Neil, I really appreciate it. A lot of good things will come from this. Thank you so much. And I really hope that y'all enjoyed this mail time video. A lot of great pieces of equipment here. I will probably say this is one of the most expensive mail time video that we've had in a while, or I would say forever. Anyway, some very nice equipment, and with nice equipment means, you know, better repairs, and more test equipment the merrier. You can never have enough test equipment. Got to get this other bitch filled up anyway, so now I can work all the way around and have the equipment needed to do the jobs with. Plus more videos to come on some of this equipment. We'll do some more videos on the IFR Super S, and definitely some of the stuff that Joe sent in, and you know, go through it, rebuild it, get everything up to par, make some probes for the meters, and still got to think about what to do about that Eico 488 switch. I'm kind of torn between building it or keeping it unbuilt. Maybe you guys can decide for me, and we'll have some fun with the Heathkit receiver that Chuck sent in. We'll probably go through it and recap it and do a tuning the line, make sure everything up and going. So lots more videos can come out of just this mailbag. Anyway, I'd like to hear your comments down below. I'll have click the show more tab for contact information and discuss any of this stuff on the website, because I put everything that I upload on YouTube on my website also. So anyway, thank you all. Appreciate it. Chuck, Dino, Joe, and Mel, you guys are terrific. Thank you very much. Appreciate all my viewers, and we'll see you in the next video.